Hi friends! So today in Vocals 101, we are going to continue to talk about our warm-ups. So, on the last video I talked about so that we have 5 different parts of our warm-up when we're building our warm-ups to do for our personal practice sessions. So those 5 sections are, just as a review, we have breathing, our physical warm-up, our vocal eases, our diction, and our range extension. So now I'm going to split these into 2 different groups, and then I'm going to focus on the first group for this video. So those 2 different groups are going to be splitting the warm-ups into physical warm-ups and vocal warm-ups. So under the physical warm-ups, we're going to include our stretches, our physical warm-up, what we've been saying before, but we're also going to include our breathing exercises because those are working out and activating all of those muscles that we use for breathing. So we have our physical part of our warm-up, and then we have our vocal part of our warm-up, which is going to be the vocal eases, the diction, and range extension exercises. So those will be all of your singing exercises. So there you can do your warm-up and you don't have to do it in the exact order that I said last week when I was going through all of these. I just kind of went through what I tend to use for my order. So that's just the one I have settled on, but you can switch some things around. So within the physical warm-up, your breathing and your body warm-up is what I'm going to call them now. So we got breathing is part 1, body is part 2. So I tend to do my breathing before I do my actual physical exercises, like my stretches and stuff like that. However, you can flip-flop those 2 if you want. You can definitely just switch them and do your stretches first and then do your breathing. And then within the vocal part of our warm-ups, we've got our vocal eases, our diction, and our range extension. So if you want to, you can switch the diction and vocal eases if you want. So I would really only do that if you're going to be doing spoken diction exercises versus singing diction exercises. If you're doing singing ones, I would do it after your vocal eases. And I will get into what all of that I just means in my next video when I focus on the vocal warm-ups. And then I would always do, at the end of your vocal warm-ups, your range extension. That should always be the last vocal warm-up that you do because it's after you've really warmed up your voice and then you're trying to push your range to the extent that it can go. So for today's video, we are going to talk about that physical part of our warm-ups. So focusing on our breathing and then our physical warm-up, our body warm-ups. So when I'm going to talk about breathing first, because that's what I tend to like to do to start my practice sessions. I find that it really focuses me on what I'm doing. It can be very meditative and focusing depending on what types of breathing exercises you do, though honestly most of them are. And it can be really good to focus and relax. Really, a lot of us are having some really stressful times right now. So it's great to use these breathing exercises to get yourself into the mindset of your practice session. So what you really want to think about, I'm going to go over some exercises in just a minute, but what I want you really to think about first is when you're breathing, how do you tell that you are breathing properly for singing? So we talked about in the past few days, we've talked about these yoga breath exercises, which I'll walk you through in a second. But one way that's really great to be able to tell if you are breathing properly is you want to put your one hand here on your rib cage, and then you can put one hand on your lower back. And as you're breathing, you should be feeling these areas expand. So you can see when I breathe really deep, it expands. So what's happening there is when you are breathing, a lot of people don't breathe like that naturally when they're breathing to talk. I have trained myself into doing it because I'm a singer, so you can. A lot of people they feel their shoulders moving a lot when you're singing, which is not what you want. You don't ever want to be and you're bringing your shoulders right up in there. What's happening when you're breathing is the muscle that controls all of your breathing is your diaphragm. And so what's actually happening is it moves everything down to make space for your lungs. So then that's why you can feel here in your stomach and your back, that's all expanding because your stomach and everything moves down and makes space for your diaphragm so that your lungs can expand. So you need to consciously provide that space. Otherwise, there's nowhere to go. Your lungs don't expand up. That's where your rib cage is. They have to expand down. The bottom of your rib cage is open. So that's really what you want to feel moving when you're breathing for singing. So some exercises that you can use to focus on your breathing. One of them, like I said, it's great to do a lot of these with your hand, either on, you could put your hand on your stomach, or you could put your hand here, put your hand here. All of these places you should feel expanding when you're breathing in and out. So I talked through, I'm going to stay standing. So one of those, something that's really great that'll really help you focus, that is actually from yoga, is called the 3-part yoga breath. So this can be really meditative and relaxing and will get you nice and focused in what you're doing. So in order to do that, you're going to think about, focus on breathing. Each breath is going to go deeply into each of these 3 different parts. So you want to think your stomach, then your mid-chest, and then your upper chest. So that's what I was just talking about when your lungs are going down to make space. You want to think about filling the air into all of these spaces. And then the last thing can be to inhale the air into the very top of the lungs. But even when you do that, you can see my chest is rising a little bit, but I'm not going like this. Not like this. It's not what you want to be doing. So for our 3-part yoga breath, you just slowly move through. You breathe into your stomach, into your mid-chest, to your upper chest, out of your upper chest, out of your mid-chest, out of your stomach. So that you don't necessarily need to put your hand anywhere. You can sit in like a meditation pose. You can just sit and close your eyes and do it. You're really focusing on where you feel yourself breathing the air into on the inside. That's more of an internal reflective breathing exercise. Another good one like that is some anxiety calming breathing, which is then you're adding counts to how fast you're breathing. And so this combination of counts has been proven to reduce anxiety and stress in your brain. And I know that there are a few different types of these actually, but it's like specific rhythms that will calm your brain down, and you can probably Google other ones, but this is the one that I know. So what you want to start with is just breathing out for 8 counts. You're going to count to 8. You can do it in your head. You should do it in your head because you can't talk. But so you're going to count to 8 in your head, and you can sigh like that if you want. So you're going to do breathe out for 8, and then you're going to breathe in for 4 beats, and then you're going to, nope, sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. Nope, that was right. Hold for 4 beats. No, breathe in for 4 beats, hold for 7. Sorry about that. I'm looking at my page in different spots. So again, I'm going to talk you through this once, and then I'll show you what it should actually look like. So exhale all of your air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can just repeat that. I'd really recommend closing your eyes and just letting yourself really focus. You don't have to see, you should not say the numbers out loud. That was actually really difficult to do to control my breath. Just say the numbers inside of your head and count through your breathing and focus on your counting. It's really the key thing for that. Like I said, when you exhale, you can if you want, or you can just breathe out, but you don't have to be making a sound on that breathe out. So the last type of breathing exercise I want to talk to you guys about today is I'm going to do sort of a hiss at tss, and doing that on different types of counts and in different ways. So what you're doing when you do that, tss, you can pull your lips forward, just forcing air, hissing, tss, tss, forcing the air through your teeth and your tongue. And so it really forces you to use a lot of air. And so it gets all of those, the diaphragm and all those muscles moving. This is how you train all of those muscles. So what I would recommend doing is let all your air out, breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. You can do that in a few different ways. You can do it just by the out. The always breathe in and hold are always the same. It's always 4 breathe in, 4 hold. It's the breathing out that changes. So there are lots of different things you can do. You can breathe out for 4 beats, just you can do it on pulses, on where you pulse a little bit of air in between each one, or you can separate them as well. And then what you can do is you can increase that amount of time you're breathing out for. So breathe in for 4, hold 4, out 4, then in 4, hold 4, out 8. I would do that twice. Then in 4, hold 4, out 12. Do it twice. In 4, hold 4, out 4. In 4, hold 4, out 16 beats. I keep saying the wrong words. And so, like I said, you can do either just seeing how long you can go. I find when doing the pulses, it's best to switch every 4 beats between the pulses and the just stream of air hissing. So you can go so that's really good to activate that control and those breathing muscles, is switching between the two. So that was our breathing section that we're talking about. So remember, that's going to be, it doesn't have to be, but it can be should be one of the first things you do when you do warm-ups. It's really great to focus you. And then we talked about our 3 different types of breathing exercises that you can use, your 3-part meditative breath, your anxiety calming breathing, and various breathing counting exercises.